Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explain more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. In interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, called the sun, that it radiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates fields out, and in interaction with itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in such certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. But if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to his creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, he shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. This happens on earth, we call it the rain. Come from, goes back to. Solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet and go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies, with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter on what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man as the energy of the earth gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, to be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question for man shall be in the future to be answered. As we saw, the sun became the earth, and as we saw, the earth became the man's soul. What will be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality. Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself, cannot give, you lead to the creation of the next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. And this is what you have to judge with the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. In the dimension of the life of the soul of the man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the part of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till he can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy becomes the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself, another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider what life shall my soul create, because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 million children of it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-matter state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and ever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system, which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, a planet. And the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts at the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the dusts, specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust on the solar system has led to the creation of the man, so shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by his soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. You have no choice. Up to today you were not aware of it. From today you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of the citizens. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth. But as you've seen, the process does not stop with one sun. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity, now knowing the fact, will handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have less, they have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar systems of the others till the day they learn more, as they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man. To be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that you can run when you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear. I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and a man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is an operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation. Any questions?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 550th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, August 8th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute, Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be host once again in this weekly series of ongoing workshops. And of course, once again, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I believe he's ready, willing, and able, as they say, to carry today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Hello, good morning, good day to you, as usual, whenever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. As usual, we're back here and we welcome you back to be with us. And we try to share some more knowledge. It's interesting how things work and how things connect to each other without you actually connecting to it. Prior to the teaching, I started, Rick asked a question, which past 2 days I've been thinking of how to teach this to man. And it's interesting what we think comes in to come back to us, that the other souls are aware of what is needed, what is missing. As we always said, in the life cycle of the man, suicide is forbidden. You cannot commit suicide. You cannot leave a book half read. You cannot let the engine run half cycle. It has to perform it to find its position and place. It's natural progressive development. If you go to the patent, the original patent, as I've said before, in this patent, especially in the latter part, I battled with Dirk in putting this in. It was put in, and I found out he's taken it out, and then I said, no, he has to be in. And at the end, we put it in, but in a way, it's written in two ways. And is the death code. How you end the life. In the life of the man, you take a bullet, you jump off a cliff, you do all sorts of funny things, thinking, okay, that's I'll leave the physical part behind, and then the rest goes. But in the patents of the Keshe Foundation, we talk about the plasma. At that time, we could not talk about the death of a soul. Ending a cycle. Again, even suicide in the level of the soul is forbidden. You cannot end life, is not yours. Is a progressive development as part of the supply of the energies to the others, that one day they might need it, and in one place they might depend on it. When we talk about end of a term, or in a way trying to, we put this in deliberately in the pattern, because at that time we could not explain the teachings, how deep it is and when it is needed and when it comes to. The term of what we call ending a cycle of the plasma is to do with, at a point will come in the history of the cosmology, we call it supernovas, red dwarf, and everything else we can think of, except actually touching the truth. We are not allowed to, and our souls, and the outset of his birth is aware of this. This cannot be touched. It is like an emergency button there, but it's forbidden. It's not that by ending a physical life or trying to bring a demise cycle of the soul of the man, You got to understand you are part of the creation. It's like creating a hemorrhage in the brain of the man at his maturity. In the physical life, suicide leaves your physical body behind. But that soul which has created it is still half cooked, is half done, has not found its maturity. In the case of the soul of the man, it's totally different. You're talking about the fields. You're talking about connection, interaction with the rest of the universe. This is why suicide in the cycle of the soul is forbidden. And up to now, in the cycle of the creation, has never been used. Even though all the souls of the created are aware of his existence deep inside. Never use because you cannot harm the others. Never used because you cannot create through your own action to change the course for many others. Is that magnet on the table of the magnets? You put a magnet in, they all have to accommodate. Now you take a magnet out, the rest have to accommodate. But in the process of you going in, all the magnets have taken new position, but then the interaction of the others, they have changed their position. So you can create the demise of the others in a way for them to be removed from the table, wantingly or unwantingly. Now you understand the wisdom of what I call termination. When we wrote this in the patent, if you read it, understand it, not in the terminology of the physicality, but the terminology of the plasma fields, you understand it's one of the easiest, but one of the impossibilities. It's not that you open up and all your fields will be spread across. This is so simple-minded way of thinking. You got to understand, we call it maggraph positioning. What happens to the fields we are interacting, creating the gravity to go in. How many of those will collide? And what about if you bring in the destruction of the gravitational field and then the expansion of the fields of the maggraph positioning to come in? You push things beyond. The others have to move to create space, time and position. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. These are the only two commandments which ever given, which stands by the ethos of Mitra. This is why even the creator with all the horrible things in the universe is still there, watch, feels, detects and understand, but never bring a termination. If you as a soul in that dimension and size decide on termination and can create such a havoc, imagine what happened if the creator decides to pull the plug. Where would all the fields go? Where would go all the essence of the creation? In the books and science of today of the man, we always talk the fallacy of the Big Bang and things started. But we never talk about what happened if the creator decides to pull the plug. What happened to all created? What happens to all these fields which have led to creation of? Or is the life and a creation and created just a mirage, imagination of our thinking? And then you ask, even that imagination needs fields So where those fields come to create the imagination, the doomsday of the creator is beginning back to nothing, and there's never been nothing as it's been the creation of life. Understanding the process of the creation and why the what I call termination of life in the dimension of the physicality and the soul forbidden is because there is always another point, another dimension, another place where there is a beauty in what is not seen to be beautiful at the time, place and position, which brings the man of physicality to the demise of their physicality. But in the dimension of the soul, the other souls see, feel the emotion of the what might call desperation or not needed, or irrelevancy of it, to the point that they give from theirs to bring life back, bring a purpose back, bring a point of reference back to the soul in the contention of its own dimension and direction. Even at the deathbed, even at the verge of the completion of the physical life, man is not allowed to speed up the process. Man has to go through the process. As where one gives and the other one takes, as one completes, the other brings balance with the others in the dimension of the fields of the universe. How can you bring an end to a cycle? The gravity of such a move, such an action by a soul is so horrendous and is so profound that can affect every being, things, every existence of every star and planet into disturbing, to be disturbed, to be brought in a different dimension and direction. Is the enigma of the black hole. In that never exists. There is always a light, even in the dimension of the creation of the black hole, which man never understood. Maybe you understand now why the first paper ever written is about the creation of black hole. In that paper, I refer, you see lights when the others go in. There is the light which comes out, which leads to creation of life. The energy, the cycle of the processing. And one will understand in the future of expansion of the soul of the man, one soul does not need to end. One soul needs to join. One soul needs to transfer energies in all dimensions to all those field strengths which is needed. In a way you become part of, but you never create the demise of. When you understand this, you understand by what we call the liberation of the soul of the man to its expansion point and connection point. Then at that point, you are given the gift of life. You become interconnecting point with all the others who received from you. This is hidden in the teachings, as we call those souls, the satellites. Many of you volunteer to become satellites, but now you understand what it means. You have not even understood about the position of your soul. Connecting, bring into operation the beauty of the creation, bring into operation the beauty of existence. When you volunteer to become a satellite in the world of the physicality, you confirm you have already committed your soul. It works. It expands, it connects, and in a way, your soul is not yours, as your soul has become the totality of the soul of connection of those who are, be, and shall be created, connect to and through. This shows the dimension of the gift one gives. As I said many times, you give the totality, but in essence, you hold on to the reality of the existence connecting the totality. You become that glue, you become that, what I call the string that every other thing attaches to, and they all jump up and down with it. It'll affect everyone, and at the same time gives pleasure of the existence. Suicide, through the dimension of the soul of the man or any existing thing in the universe, is forbidden. Even though we teach it. Even though in the word of the man we put it on the pattern. Because in the dimension of the expansion of the soul, in the dimension of its demise, it creates a contraction. You got to realize the life of the man in the dimension of soul and the plasma is magnetical and gravitational. It has to be a compromise. It has to be a balance between the two in how you contract it and the way you bring contraction of the fields of the soul of the man to be in comparison and in parallel with the expansion of the soul. A black hole which gives life. In a way, at the point of when man feels to be the demise of his soul, he actually becomes the essence of gluing, connecting the other souls in all dimensions. Because now the flower has opened and its beauty sits within it, which opens up. Now you understand, there has never been and there shall never be a suicide in the cycle of the creation of the Creator. So, why should it be in the dimension of physicality of the creation? When you stand correct in conduct, you never wish for the demise. And the same in time, the love, the energy, the giving of you can become part of another life, even if it's in the last seconds of the physical dimension. How you expand the soul of the man is at the point when you deny yourself not to be you, but to be all. The position of the prophets. But not the prophet of man the way he has been created. In a way, the dimension of giving without any need to receive. As the cycle of the balancing of the universe, we bring that point on its own. Never in life contemplate on suicide, be it in the physical dimension or the dimension of the soul. Is damage, and what it can cause can create a mayhem that is beyond the dimension of understanding of it. You create a black hole that in the physical life become the pain of the father, the mother, the child, wife, and the husband. And in the dimension of the soul becomes an enigma for destruction of the totality. You can contract, You can pull aside, you can go in solace and take position that what comes out of me is what I can give. But in time, I will be back. I'll be there to give, to become part of totality in a giving way, in a loving way, the way the Creator does, the way the love of Mitra sits amongst all created. As Mitra is all that has been created, and the emotion of love is what it receives from the Creator, as fields, as the dimension, and even in the distance is still close and close by. The reason we teach this, the reason needs to be discussed, the reason it's been written in the pattern, is that as we go through the position and dimension of transmutation, many of you will find yourself landing in the wrong place. You find in a point of transmutation, you have come to the point that you do not see the point, the place, and the dimension and the position you were hoping for, you were destiny for, and then what you call in the term of the man, the loneliness brings the position of the thoughts. And it's that point that you have to go within. Within the soul, which transmuted you, within the energy fields of the body of the man, which have created you. In the next Friday session, we bring you to that position. In the next session of the August of the Keshe Foundation meeting, we bring you for you to understand your own limitation and the generosity of your soul. We bring you to the point where you have to decide between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality and love both the same, that both confirm the existence of you, and at the same time creates an emotion, the emotion of the confirmation of me, and the unity of the two. Teaching of today will take physicality of shape of understanding next Friday. As you noticed in the last month session, we told you in different way to position your headset. And this week will be much closer for you to understand the position of the transmutation. And the emotions which create within is not going to, is feeling to what this feeling means and what am I responsible for. Because it's the emotion which dictates the position of the soul of the man in transmutation. I'm in danger. I don't want to be here. The emotion of feeling of here is I'm happy to be as I give. Test of emotion is the most important part of the existence. A man without the emotion is not alive. So is the soul. The soul without the emotion does not exist. Now you understand why you as knowledge seekers and for humanity and the rest of the universe to understand the emotion of existence. Just because I don't think exists for me, I bring an end. Because in the dimension of soul, as I don't think it exists for me, I'm there for the others to find existence. This is the behavior of the Creator. And it's embedded in every soul ever created. Not selfishness, but detachment. And it's the job of you as knowledge seekers and those who come after you and those who learn and understand to understand the point. I am part of. but I'm not all up. I'm the accommodator and not the controller. And if you understand this, then you know in what point and how to open the expansion of the fields of the giving, and in one position and what create the condition of attracting the fields that continues the life of you to be able to give. But this time you receive as you wish, according to what you wish that you receive. You create the field, you create the dimension. In the body of the man, as I've said many times, you eat the food, you bring that seed, that 20% to be embedded in the body of the man, that through the conversion of it into a plasma, attracts the other 80% of the food for your physicality to live, to exist. The food of the soul is the emotion. The emotion you create is that seed which brings the rest of the fields of the universe to satisfy that emotion, to bring it to balance. In the dimension of physicality, we eat. In the dimension of the soul of the man, we create an emotion of. There is no difference. Now you understand. As long as there is an emotion, there is life. And there is, as long as there is life, there is respect for its existence. Thou shall not kill, not even his own soul. This is the knowledge of creation. And understanding the emotion that you create within is the emotion that you receive from the other souls, which feel the same, to create, to satisfy, and to be there to justify the existence of all, and not just one. I hope you understand, and you understood the gravity of the teaching of today as you become the travelers of the future, as your generation and your future generations abides by the law of the Creator. And the knowledge gets embedded within the DNA and RNA of the man and every other creation, that thou shall not kill, not even his own soul. You can become philanthropist in the dimension of physicality. In the dimension of soul, there is no philanthropy. It's understanding the emotion of existence. As your emotion is in the dimension of the fields of the universe, so every other soul connected, interacted with your soul is aware of your emotion. Now you understand. Thou cannot steal, thou cannot kill in the dimension of the soul. But why man does in the dimension of physicality, when he's aware that the position and the information of it in the dimension of the soul will find the balance of it for the existence of the man in any point in the universe. As we go to the strength of the dimension of transmutation, knowledge seekers have to understand this. When you get lost, is not an end. Creating emotion of home brings you back home. And once you understand this, you become part of the progressive development of your own. Now you understand. You're responsible for it, but you transfer that emotion to responsibility. And emotion of responsibility is so deep that is connected to the Creator and not to the man. I hope you understood the message of today. And I hope no soul in the universe needs to use the death. As the death of one is the end for all. And no soul has the right of doing so, even the Creator. There is always solution in both dimensions of the physicality and in the dimension of the soul. And now you understand why suicide is forbidden. I have talked about this in other teachings, and today we have to face it as we go to the dimension of transmutation. And I know in transmutation, many of you will end up in the wrong place. You receive the wrong emotion, but it has to be that point to understand the position of giving that brings you back to the dimension of the position of understanding why and how you ended up in that position. And what is the way out of it is not by fighting and destruction, but by giving. Understanding. I've said many times to elevate the soul of the world leaders, but you have to understand what that elevation to them brings them in the dimension of physicality. It's the same with all. Thank you very much for today, and we'll take a break and we'll come back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. This is the 550th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, August 8th. And we will be back shortly.
Water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now you can have this energy in your home. The Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022. and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
Okay, back again at the 550th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And this is the second half, so we will have an opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And folks can post in the YouTube or Q&A or webinar chat. And also you can raise your virtual hand if you are an attendee, and then we can open your microphone so that you can speak. But first, I think Mr. Keshe might have something he would like to say. That's generally how it works here, it seems.
Right. Yes, thank you very much. We try to open dimension of expansion and understanding in all aspects. And you cannot just teach on the physical dimension or on this energy dimension. And we need to understand the totality. As those of you who will see the new YouTube channel of the Keshe Foundation, we emphasize on energy to be defined as a plasma level, as the magnetic field in motion. In a way, we have to understand the principle of creation. And as the first fields move, their motion creates their energy. And fields do not have mass. X-rays do not have a mass. They don't contain it. They don't have it. As they are themselves part of the magnetical motion of the creation. We cannot measure at any point in the dimension of creation a size, a mass for the fields of the creation. Mass is a manifestation of interaction of lower field in respect to the higher field strength, movement, or position. And when we start redefining the mass, which if you read book 1, I try to explain the mass and the weight, and then bring it in the term of plasma, you understand that in the world of the creation, the hypocrisy of the energy equal to mc squared does not work. Energy is the speed of the field and has no mass. Mass is creation of the matter state, confirmation of existence. We feel the fields of the creator. We don't feel the mass of creator. He doesn't hit us. And once the world of science understands this, the transmutation and the conformation and operation of the universe understanding will become much, much easier. Because then we distinguish between the two. What is the energy of the creation and what is the energy of manifestation of the creation. And this is where this little chap with his ignorance has created so much problem for the world of the science and understanding. There is no mass in the dimension of the fields of the universe. So the energy of the fields is the speed which can be traveled. And there is no limitation on the speed of the fields of the universe. Now you understand why we have specifically put this in the information about the new YouTube channel. If you understand it, if you understood the reason for it. Once man becomes aware of this, man understands the totality of the creation. And how you reduce or increase or interact or you compress or you open the fields in respect to each other and in parallel with each other. The two different points. One is in respect and one is in parallel. And one is the creation of gravity and one is creation of magnetic. In time, man will understand, and in time will bring change to the understanding as man moves into the dimension of what we call transmutation. This is why in many teachings I keep on telling you, there's a transfer and there's one transmutation. Transfer is for the mass, transmutation is for the fields. Man moves his body with a mass comparison to another position, time and space. Man moves his soul with energy of the fields of the universe. Has no mass. We got to understand this to be able to go into the next step of the development of the technology and for others to understand. The only thing stays, if you still want to make it relevant in the dimension of your present understanding, energy in the dimension of the plasma, according to the emotion given, brings the speed, not only c square, c4, c10, c1000. And this is why you understand we say the speed of light is the lowest of all. Depends how you bring the fields to, or you travel in a dimension and space that there is no limitation of the resistance of other fields. You can travel with millions of times the speed of the matter state of light within the center of the universe as you can do on the boundaries of the universe. There is no limitation, there is no restriction. It's understanding the position and the need. The light energy travels from the center of the sun, from the surface of the sun, and within minutes and hours of the man reaches the boundary of the solar system. It converts, transfers, become that phantom energy, we call it in the body of the man, when it comes to the point of amputation, or what we call the boundary of the solar system. And then in gaining mass, it takes it billions of years to go back to the mother in the shape of the planet. Meteorite, asteroid, or anything else which man might have made a word for. Few seconds ago, a long time to come back. Depending who you share the shoulder of the field energies and what path you take to come in. Does not take much for the moist to go up, but it takes a long time together to become a cloud to rain back. It takes longer in time for the rain to drop back in than it took it to evaporate to reach the position of light. And this is what we need to understand. How you speed it, how you compact it, and how you give it the signs of life for manifestation. Be it the man, be it the matter, be it the vegetation. Without that sign, it cannot exist. It cannot manifest itself. And one day, when man understands the sign of the Creator, he will see it with his own physical eyes. Understanding of totality. But the physical eye of the soul, and not the physical eye of. That's the time when you meet your Creator. As within, you find out that this part of the creation is me. Any questions?
Okay, well, we can get my glasses on. We can start with a question from Malcolm in YouTube. Question: those who have committed suicide, what happens to their souls? Is the natural path to a new cycle for them blocked until they elevate the emotion? Thanks.
We call it English wanderers. Those who wander around. And in the world of the man, we give praise for those who are dead, who are alive, or whatever. This is the field we create in the dimension of their soul. Because we are of the same amino acid. The amino acid of the soul is totally different. It's the creation of manifestation of its totality. And in a way, when you commit suicide, that glue is not there. That connection of the line to be part of, to be connected to, does not exist. because you cut it off. You haven't cut it off, you have diverted to another position which has no connection to. When we pray for our dead, we give from our energy of the fields of the emotion, that as they receive, they find, that doesn't mean they jump up, but they find a strength in the position where they are to exist, to confirm. And this is, then is balanced with everything else. In one of the teachings in the past, I explained the man who shoots the bullet. He is payable, he is responsible for the physical and the soul of the man who he has shot. But it goes down the line, the man who made the wood to make the gun, the steel, the software, the man who designed the gun, and all the way down the line, you're responsible for. Because you knew this is one day is going to be used. So now you understand, when a man shoots himself with a gun, all those souls have to respond, have to accommodate, have to pay for it, if you put it in the word of the man. And you look, and I said many times, what happens with what you call in American history the veterans? What happens to the people who have committed crime by taking another soul in the name of the war, in the name of a soldier, in any name you like? And then you see they come back with all sorts of nightmares and diseases. That's the balancing of the soul. Is that the nightmare? Is that the sleep when you dream to another? In the level of soul, they are responsible for that man they took a life of. As we say in English, that's what is haunting them. Because they have to pay for it. This is why wars are forbidden. And the same is the killing. Any other question?
Okay, I have another question on a similar topic with Liz New in our Q&A. Does the deliberate ignorance for a period of time of those who constantly abuse any lessons or corrections or gifts lead to this topic of suicide?
I don't understand what you mean.
Not quite clear on that, but I'm just trying again. Does the deliberate ignorance for a period of time of those who constantly abuse any lessons or corrections or gifts means or leads to this topic of suicide?
Not really. It's, if I understand what you're trying to say, we get to the point of not being able to handle the emotion of the time, place. You walk from that point in 10 minutes, half an hour, I said, what the stupid thing I was doing. And why I got to that point. There's always another point, there's another solution. Maybe I need to ask for elevation of my soul, energy from within me to bring me different emotion. Whenever you get to that point, go within. And then you find out within, in giving out, finds you a solution. I do that quite often. Quite often. When I see a problem, I don't go, I have to find a solution. I'm aware that within me there is a stronger, bigger collection of souls which are there, and the energy they provide, the fields of their existence will create a different emotion and brings a new position. And many times, even with the Keshe Foundation, it comes to me because I've taken too much burden doing it, trying to get it done, but at the same time, the others are part of this structure. So I go within. Those who are there create a new condition that I move on to the next step, as they have taken the responsibility of changing that position that I got into because of the foundation. In a way, you share souls, you give from inside. And it works, and it is the secret of existence. In the world of politics, you lobby outside. In the world of the soul and creation, you go within the strength within you inside. Because you know that it's like, as I said, you take 20%, and the other 80% comes from outside. When you go in, it's the same. You put in the emotion and they give, because you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the rest, for the elevation of the totality. This is how it works. So you don't need to make the frame of it. You create the frame out of the, what we call, the sharing of the souls. In the presentation, when you will see in Iran, hopefully, we come in with a suitcase. We don't bring aircraft, we don't bring a UFO, we don't bring anything else. I open a suitcase, and by interaction of the fields creates the craft. As I said many times, in knowledge of the creation, we don't have any aircraft hangars, because even the body of the craft feels the emotion of the other souls, the need of the emotion. This is why I said both leaders will not go into this, because the soul does not match the purity of the soul of the craft. It's not a car you get in and because you have the key you push it and it has to go. You created the key with your conduct, and that's the key to get in. The elevation, the balance of the fields of the soul. And if you understand it in a deeper way, going back to the holy books, maybe now you understand what it means, the boat of Noah. Know-how is you-how, and how you bring yourself to that point, to be part of salvation for yourself. Any other question?
From Peng Peter in YouTube, who says, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the applications of transmutation, what men can do with transmutation?
Everything you do in the transfer. Go and see the uncle. Go on the beaches of the universe or the planets. Go inside the soul of your partner and see if there is a true love. It's just love because of your pocket. Go shopping. But when you go soul shopping, you're the giver. You cannot collect. It's in reverse. When you go out with the young children and you try to teach them how the world works, and then they try to repeat it back at home. You try this. I used to try it with my children. It's amazing emotion. You go with the child, but you have to bring it out from the childhood, from outset. You say, you want a pack of sweeties? This is the money, you pay the man. And you see, they give the pack and they give the money to the man. And you tell them, you got to get the change. They get the change and give the change back to you, and they keep the pack. You bring them home, or they come home, and they give you a pack and the money when they play. And they say, oh, I want to buy. In a way, they don't understand the exchange in dimension of physicality, reality of outside and reality of home. They give you the money and the package is for you, because they do that in the shop. And then you understand the difference between the man in dimension of physicality and the soul, because they're pure souls. They don't see value in why you give papers or something to get back what you gave them to give it back to you. And it's the same with the man confusion between the soul and the physical dimension. You give, but the package is not yours. It belongs to, because I don't want it. I pay you to take the package. Where in the shop, they pay you for me to take the package. And it's intriguing how you see the behavior of the soul and you see the behavior of physicality. And then how they value it. And then the abundance that is there if you want is not there because you. Do this with your children, because I always brought up the children this way. Make everything abundant. Sweeties, chocolates, whatever is the like. And give them a place and a position. This corner of the table is yours and all the sweeties are there. And you replenish it. They don't need to come and ask. And continuously change every time something new, something different, different taste, different other things. Then you see your child, when he goes out, never ask for anything. And when he's in the house, it's everything. You don't find a child with knick-knacking, with I don't like this, I don't like that. The fruit sits next to the sweetie next to the chewing gum, everything else, all sorts of fruits, all mixed up on the table. This is your corner, this is your table. And then you find a child, because it tasted that, it tastes the other one, might not touch, but it takes next time. You share one, you give him one, and you take one. And you find out you expand the soul, you expand the experience. You never get a child who cries on the street, I want this, I want that, or in the house, I don't eat this, I don't know that. Because you have given it the total. This is how the Creator works. He provides everything. It's you who's the choosy one. The universe is abundant with the gift. It's you who decides what to pick. But if you are open to receive whatever it is, it always goes back because you learn to give. And it's part of the structure, what we see in the physicality and what we see in the dimension of the soul. It's no different. It's that innocent child. One we force the dimension of physicality, one is one within them, within the essence of it. Generosity. Any other question?
Okay, thank you. Let's see, there's a question from Stefania from the Italian community, again on the topic of suicide. What happens to those who kill themselves because of or kill themselves after torture, or they were given drugs or some other situation that was out of their control? And does the same thing happen to those people?
It's all the same. It's all the same.
Okay. Let me see. There's a question from George. He says, I want to thank you for asking, says, hello, dear Rick. I want to thank you for asking 2 weeks ago, Mr. Keshe, my question about a health problem. In the answer of Mr. Keshe, I realized the problem with my question. So now I want to ask again, this time the right question, I hope. Mr. Keshe, could you release a Twinity-like product that would expand the soul, and by doing so, to encapsulate the entire body, so that all the wonderful things that come with the full soul expansion would come to life? Thank you.
Cosmic ray bundles are supposed to do that. We built cosmic ray bundles especially for that purpose, for the dimensional expansion and communication of the soul. How you interpret it is in your dimension of physicality. Very recently I was talking to one of the scientists in Keshe Foundation, and I was explaining to her the knowledge seekers do not understand the amount of knowledge we have given. And we have taught, you know, when you go to school in the first year, they teach you alphabet, and then you learn how to make a word and then sentence and the paragraph, and then the book. In the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, we gave you the book at the beginning. And this is why so many of you have a problem to find out where is the A and what is B and what is their place. When we taught you how to make the ganses, when we taught you how to make the magraphs, when we explained the connection of it, I gave you the end of the book at the beginning of the story. But because in a way you're illiterate to the knowledge of the creation, you got stuck with it. And you think this is the beginning. And it's the same with the cosmic bundle. Cosmic bundles are the beginning of the space technology in transmutation. And it's on the Keshe Foundation website. You were given a Trinity by the cosmic bundles from the day we put it out. And if you understand this, you find a way of communicating, connecting to the rest of the fields of the universe. All the cosmic bundles have connection to universal fields. Even people who make it, they're not aware of what they're making. But when it was designed, when it was put in as part of its work, it was set that way. You want the physical trinity, you can go to by what we put out. But if you really want the soul trinity, the cosmic bundles, and it's one of the most complicated one. It's extremely complicated. You have access to the full spectrum of the fields of the universe, and you can connect to anything, anywhere. But the problem is when you put on, says, oh, I had a dream, I went somewhere. You don't say, oh, I did not understand that he brought me what I needed. It's a big difference. If you one day understand how you use the cosmic bundles and understood the way what I said earlier on about the 20%, using the cosmic bundles the right way, you can feed yourself in the dimension of the soul that it feeds you in the dimension of physicality. And that means there's no fault. You have a pain in the shoulder, understand how to use the cosmic bundle, you see what happens to it. A few days ago, I was sitting in front of the scientists and what do you call it, an old man of medicine, because of the explanation and what we were going through. And I explained to him something very simple, how this works as a field. But he said, in the matter state, we see different. I said, your system does not see the field. We create the environment. You look at the matter. And then the matter takes over. And this is what you understand, you have to understand. These cosmic bundles are not there. I want to communicate with my cousin. You do, we show you how and need to be. But it's primarily the first Trinity system. The headphones individually switches with the twin in the box in front of it. At the same time, each headphone, each side twins with the soul. Within it, connects with that part of the brain and emotional part. The other left is different, but at the same time they connect. They connect with each other. And those of you who know how to use it, you can transmute with the communication model, because it's not a physical communication. It's not Mr. Beck calling hello. It's yourself saying, I'm here. In the future, these cosmic bundles, even the ones which are already present in you buy, are the backbone of your transmutation. You have, some of you took the communication bundle. Some of you took the glasses which we put out. If you understand how to use the combination of these two, if you have it, you can create a condition of transmutation at any point. One of the knowledge seekers recently has started doing it. Then you have to distinguish between, if you are working in dimension of the soul, you're working in dimension of physicality. I have given you everything to go to transmutation in past years, but as usual, as a master, I have hidden everything everywhere. Because you don't understand, so we put it there. When you understand, you know what to do with it. If you think of it, if you hard for you to understand, those of you especially were with us in the past few months of testing and you're there, if you look, you have the headphones, your earphones, and you will ask you for two phones to make a second one in a different position. Isn't that the work of the second one, the glasses, the goggles which we put in the for sale? You close the circuit. It's you who decides the elevation of soul, what you receive from outside. The twin set has been in front of you for a long, long time. And in the process of understanding this, if you bought those glasses and you put them somewhere because you went that way, if you look, the glasses have two pieces front, which covers the eyes, and on the back of the head, on the ribbon, there is another piece which connects. Isn't it that's what you put the headphone in the front and in the back? It's all been there. It's just because you're not knowledgeable, you don't connect it. Now you understand. The cosmic bundles, and I said, if you understand how to use it, you can train yourself gradually for transmutation. But still you have to understand, I shall not steal. And then try to see if you have a cancer, then try to see if you have a pain somewhere, if try to see you are emotionally in different position, and see gradually what you achieve. Another question.
Okay, we have a question from Gerhard in the Q&A, who says, a wonderful good morning, Mr. Keshe, and to all the knowledge seekers. At the last Friday meeting, I tried to change from a white to a black person. That didn't work. I can accept this black look, but I can't love it. I see this lack of love as the cause of the failed experiment. Next Friday, I would like to make another try. This time, I will choose Avatar Blue. I feel a strong attraction here, and I love these beings. Could you please give me some additional tips to make the skin color transformation a success? Thank you.
Oh, you cannot become comedian, but you have to understand the satisfaction of the soul, the creation of the emotion. Is not the magic work. You're not a magician. I want to be black and blue and the rest of it. In what environment you want to manifest yourself, and what's the purpose? Is the soul happy to manifest itself in that direction, or is it just your physical wish? It will not work. You got to understand, in transmutation, the emotion of the soul counts. In transfer, the emotion of physicality counts. You cannot bring the emotion of physicality if it's not understood or balanced with the emotion of the soul. We are not playing, I found a box that can be black today, blue tomorrow. Just to see if I can. What's the purpose of the emotion in it? Then you will achieve. It's not anymore if I can jump off a cliff or I can pick up 100 kilo weight because I've done the training for it. In the dimension of the soul is if I have the strength of the emotion of it. Any other question? Join us in next Friday session. A lot of we learn a lot. Doesn't matter if you've been there before or not. But it's part of structure. And try to start using the headphones and the eye covers which you had together, but understand what you're doing. And then see what new dimensions you open to your existence. And how much your emotion changes in a progressive way. Any other question? Are we there, Rick?
Oh, I'm sorry, my microphone wasn't open. There was a question in YouTube from Multimedia Media Zine. The question is, the Cosmic Ray Communication Bundle allows transmutation and feeding the soul from within. Please explain this in layman's terms. Thanks.
In layman's term, you cannot do it yourself, so we give you a helping hand. It's like when you're little, or when you recover from an accident or whatever, and they try to teach you how to use your hand again to feed yourself. How to use a spoon. And these cosmic rays and the rest are that spoon. Teaching you how to use the spoon to feed yourself. Even though you knew before. These are tools. Like you buy a car to go from A to B. Now, these cosmic bundles and other bits which is around the Keshe Foundation, gradually we teach you why we put them out years ago or months ago, whatever, is part of that tool. Is that part, it's about you to understand about yourself. And to understand by yourself about the abilities of yourself and nothing else. And what emotion you put in it. And what emotion you get back from it, but without the expectation. When you have expectation from these systems, it means you're still human. When you make it available for the others, then you start learning. When you use the cosmic bundles, when you use the systems, never ask what I want. Don't create the emotion of I want to. Create the emotion of it'll please me if I get. You want to go from London to New York. It pleases me to see my son. It brings the pleasure to my soul, brings the pleasure to my existence. Not I'm going to see my son take me there. If you remember, it's the story of the guy with a cup in this, what you call Berlata, sitting in and pushing it. You have to understand the way you run this car, the way you create, hasn't got the steering wheel, but it steers itself to the will of man. Then this is what you have to learn. And this is the problem with 99% of your knowledge seekers. You push it. You don't let it to be given what is good for you. Any other?
I'm just having a look here. Oh, there's a question from Jed in the YouTube. Thank you for your teachings. Could you speak about Palestine, Ismail Haniyeh's assassination? Thank you.
This is a very touchy point, and I have a very strong view about this because I know the emotion of the feel of it. I have made my point very clear to Iranian leadership, especially in the past, and to the officials in certain governments in the past few days. If Iran, by any chance, goes to the phase of attacking Israel, in retaliation for Palestinian guy or whatever, for the first time in my life, I want two governments. I will change my passport and my nationality. The reason is very simple. When one of my students got killed in Iraq a couple of years ago, all the Iranian leadership could do was, instead of finding a solution, bombed a few places and did something, and they thought that was retaliation. He was Iranian. He was pure blood Iranian. And he stood for the nation and the science of the nation. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Why should a nation of Iran, with all its beauty, go under hammering destruction for Palestinians who stole from their own nation? I support Palestinians, I always done. But bringing one of the most ancient nations to verge of destruction because you are Palestinian, you're Lebanese yourself, and fooling a nation to do so is not my nation. The gentleman comes from the Palestinian bedrock, but a billionaire, stealing from his own nation. Why should Iranian blood, Iranian nation, historical places, or infrastructure to be destroyed by killing of one man, who he was, whatever he was, is judgment for them. Unless our leadership is Palestinian and Lebanese themselves, why us as Iranian are getting pulled into the Lebanese affair of Ayatollahs? The word Ayatollah does not exist in the vocabulary of the Islam and Iran. It's made up only for the Lebanese who occupied Iran. And I made my point very clear. For the first time, if this happens, I will change my passport. I don't denounce the Iranian nation, but take protection to bring back Iran to glory through another way. So why thousands of Iranians have to be killed, where we did not respect one of our own leaders, but for their leaders, we have to give a nation. I've made it clear to those who understand, none of my technology can be used in aggression against any state. This is what I signed in 2008 with the Iranian parliament when I transferred technology. My agreement is with the Iranian nation, the Iranian parliament, not with no Ayatollah. And does not, I don't support Israelis, I don't support Americans or the rest. But why should we go to destroy a nation when it has nothing to do with us? I always said, it's very simple, you understand very clearly. When you go in somebody's house, you break into, you have no value for, you ransack, you do whatever you like, because it's not yours. And this is what Ayatollahs do to Iran. They are not Iranian. They've come to ransack a nation. In the past 500 years, they've been at it. And I don't see why a nation has to go under such a horrendous condition because they are using another person, ransacking a house for their own to steal, to take. According to the Forbes, this gentleman has $9 billion in assets. Now you understand. We still support the Palestinians as a people, but not what is said to come and will be there. I made that myself to two most powerful nations on this planet in the past few days. And then it will be very hard for those who take the next step. We have a very good saying, Farsi. It says, "Cho Iran nabashad, tale man nabad." When there is no Iran, why should I be an Iranian? It is destroyed by these hooligans in the name of Ayatollahs. If they wanted to use such a force, why didn't they use it when an Iranian general at the highest rank, one of my students, was killed in Iraq? It's not a Palestinian, is what Israel is doing is wrong. We know everything is done by them is wrong, but they are the tools. You see, there is an old school of thoughts. The thieves and the robbers and the criminals fight on the street in front of the people, and they eat together at night. One is Israel and one is this lot. In the front, because what they've given in the back is so huge. And it cannot be at the expense of a nation. I even recently, through some security reports, we see the way that the president was killed. This was an inside job by themselves to create this new condition. This is why nobody's been arrested after a week in Iran. It's an inside job, but the jobbers themselves did the inside job. So very, very detailed, and I try to keep very much in past few days away, but we made our point very clear to one of the most powerful nations on this planet. I will move. And we have taken all the steps to move. And yet,
Okay, from Jonathan in the Q&A. Good morning, Rick and Mr. Keshe. Could you please advise what role is to be played by those who are participating in the plasma mobile experience?
what do you mean the plasma mobile experience? You mean by Friday?
Sure what he means by plasma mobile experience, I suppose.
You mean the transmutation sessions each month? It's for you, not for us. We just open the ways for you to understand about your capabilities. It's not about us. You don't come in on the Thursday sessions and the, what they call Friday sessions every month for us to, we learn how to make more better system to cover most of you, your desires. But it's about you, not about us. You learning about yourself, your capabilities. You cannot go and run a marathon if you do not train for it and you don't realize your capabilities that you can do. And you take a coach, you learn, you go on the internet how to do things to be able to run a marathon. What you have to do, what the exercises and the rest. This is the same. We provide the grounds for you to learn about yourself, what you can do. You know, when you go, you want to learn driving, you go and register and take a teacher, it puts you in the car and you take you for a drive and you start learning. You call it the school of driving. This is what we do. We take you for a school for you to learn about yourself, how to drive yourself, how to operate yourself. If you remember,
Sorry, go ahead.
A few years ago, when we introduced the vertical unit and the other units, we explained about you can go and see where you're going, how you look. It's like a fish tank. Where you're going to end up, with what creatures in what position in the universe, because we understand what gravitational magnetic fields is in that environment, what field pressures there are. We replicated it, so you go in there, this is how you come out. It's like you get a liquid metal and you put it in one die, it becomes a cup. You put in another die, it becomes a plate. Because the shape of the plate was decided, this is, if you put anything in this, it will be the shape of a plate. If you put anything in this environment, it will be the shape of a cup. Instead of that press machine, we create the pressures of the magnetic field in a cosmic level. So it's not a fairy tale. Now you understand we have the capability to create that condition. And this is how you're going to look. And now with the cosmic ray bundles, with the glasses, we create that condition. It's you who decides if it's going to be a cup or a plate. It's about you to understand your own capabilities. And it's about you, how many times you fall and you get up to perfect it, to be in that position to get where you are. There is no room for failure because nobody can fail. You just take according to your strength, according to your understanding. And this has been the behavior of the Keshe Foundation because we understand the bigger structure. How many of you have been to teaching classes and whatever? Any of you received a certificate graduate from class 1, class 2? You join these structures for you to elevate your own understanding. There are no winners and there are no losers. What you understood is your win. Any other?
Jonathan was referring to the all-purpose plasma flight simulation mobile experience. And I note that the first quote at the top is, "You decide where you go. You are the captain of your flight." That was
this we don't do anymore. This is finished. This section was when we had the units in Austria. When people used to come in and go in the units. These sessions are non-existent. Maybe we have to introduce them back and people go to where the systems are and pay for it and test it. Maybe it's a good idea to bring it back and allow people to go into the centers and like they used to come to Linz and go through the systems. Maybe we bring this back and we bring these systems into operation, that you can go and test it. Any other question? I think your microphone is off again, Rick.
Yes, thank you. From Win Thang in the YouTube, who says, "Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Why do we have both nightmares and beautiful dreams?"
Why? Because you decided. You decide. And it's just always takes you to a position of what it is. What is nightmare to you, what that position could be enjoyable standing in another side of it. But it's the same as life. Why do we get sad and why do we get happy? What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What makes you cry?
One man's dream is another man's nightmare.
Nightmare, exactly. Depends where you're standing.
Mm-hmm.
This so, story of one man's dream, another man's nightmare, this is what happened to Edison and Tesla. Dream of Tesla. Actually, Edison somewhere talks about this. Winning the Chicago Fair was his dream to show the power of his technology, and it became a nightmare for Edison, that he was rejected with all the work he did and set out to destroy Tesla.
Good example. We have another.
It talks about it. You know, Edison says that one of the last words they say, historically written, the biggest mistake he made was what he did with Tesla. Because he knew he did wrong. And that became his battle.
Well, the next question in YouTube from Off Script is, good day, Mr. Keshe. During transmutation, it felt different being a part of the whole universal structure as opposed to being a singular plasma where I felt separate. Can you speak to the difference?
It's you who decides in transmutation. When you go to these phases of transmutation, when you travel through the energy, not physicality, you have to be aware of the emotion of the soul. This is important. It's like I go to a party, but I want to be alone on my own. Why do you go to a party if you want to be on your own alone? You see a lot of it. I want to enjoy the atmosphere. When you do take the transmutation, you have to decide, I don't see myself worthy to be with the others, or I have nothing to give, so I stay alone. You see yourself in that position. Or I'm equal to the others, so I can enjoy the totality. This is part of the behavior of the physical life and the dimension of freedom of the soul. This is why I always in all the teachings, when we take man to space, we take man as equal and not subordinate. And this is many of you will feel this way. When you go to transmutation, it's normal, because you have to learn till you're invited in, you said you're equal, you have the same position as us, and it's you who decides to be part of or to be side of. And always remember, in dimension of your soul, always said, we take man into a space as an equal partner and not subordinate. And if you understand this, you understand it's you who decides to be a loner or be on the side, because you do not see the value and the beauty within yourself, which is equal to others. There are no kings, there are no presidents, and even the creator is amongst you and you don't see it, because it's within you. And every other soul sees that. One thing which you learn in transmutation, and if you learn this, you'll enjoy your trips, is that every soul is aware of the beauty of the creator within it, because it's part of it. And that's why they don't do wrong, because you do the wrong to your own creator and it's not done. And when you see yourself as a lover the way the creator is, which is within you, you'll never be alone, you don't stand outside. This is where the emotion of physicality and the emotion of the soul has to come to understanding, to a balance. Any other question?
From, excuse me, from Multimedia Zine, another question. Says, hello, Mr. Keshe. I remember once you said that the flight enhancement navigation plasma spaceship with auxiliary systems is literally orb technology, that I can transmute into an orb with my soul.
What is orb?
An orb is it's usually like a round ball of light.
This is the soul. You have to understand the condition and position of plasma. Go into the new YouTube, which is hopefully will start up. It's all done. It's the first 2-3 pieces should go on until the team which is putting in, and we start putting data in. And look at I think it should be the second or the third videos combination. The third one is the one which Rick always has with the fields becoming a plasma.
Do you have the link to that site, or
it has to be released through Raphael. He's in charge of the new YouTube. When he has everything on as usual, through all the links will be released. It's
okay. We don't have it quite yet, then. Eh?
We have it. It's all done. Everything is there. It's just that they have to load up the things which should be done, and then once it's done, we start loading on the back of it the flight test weights and the rest of it. We're trying to the YouTube was set a couple of weeks ago, as we said, it's gonna be. Now we finished the first part of it, which has gone in now. Once Raphael changes everything, because he's in charge of all this, and slowly they start loading up the teaching, and you see it step by step. And he will release the link connection right in all the chats and everywhere else. You can share it anywhere else. Put it on the links if you are in X, what used to be, what do you call it, before this Twitter guy takes over.
Used to be Twitter.
Twitter. Put it on the Twitter everywhere. And let people come and learn. Take the link and put it on Twitter to learn about the newest space plasma technology, plasma for peace. And then you place it everywhere you can. Because we start bringing the change, as I said, in a very, very three-dimensional way. Any other question?
Okay, from anonymous attendee. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I asked this question from Iran. My question consists of 3 parts and is for the use of plasma fields in industry. 1, how to create different plasma fields of potassium or calcium, or both together, in a large volume of water, for example, 30,000 liters, in the fastest way.
Keshe Foundation has this technology. You don't have it. You won't be able to do it. This technology is already with us. We have it. And we can produce it in millions of gallons. We can provide it. But this is a special way. It's a technology know-how.
Is that proprietary, or is that available
Very
for sharing?
Yes. No. We keep it. It's more or less is part of the other developments which we use. We don't keep anything proprietary. We just keep it that other people cannot abuse it. But it's not something to be developed. It's something which we have already developed. We know how to control it and how to, what do you call it, create that. It's the way the calcium doesn't exist in the universe. It's created. We know the process of creation.
His second question is, do you suggest using scalar fields in this regard? And the third question is it possible to get help from the Keshe Foundation in Iran to implement this?
Speak to Yusuf, but at the moment I don't think we can do much. And what is the purpose of it? What's the purpose of what is it for? This technology, it's very, it's the next process of the, what they call technological release by the Keshe Foundation in agriculture and the rest. We have a dilemma in Keshe Foundation, sits with us very deep. Let's look at the agriculture. We can push with increasing harvest. This is what you don't see much work with Keshe Foundation in agriculture, especially in past year or two, because there's a dilemma, and the dilemma is very, very clear. And when I was in China, one Chinese guy said, our people are used to eating. I said, yes, but they can, yes, get used to not to eating, going through 2 phases of eating and not eating, and then not eating. In agriculture, we do increasing the harvest, blah, 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 blah. We do in making the life better for the animals, blah, 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 blah. And then we kill them to get that energy. It would have been a beautiful thing. Yes, we can increase the harvest, blah, yes, we can do. Or we create a condition that we feed energy instead of the animal to people through radio stations, through apps. And this is what has put me in the dilemma for past 2 years with Keshe Foundation and agriculture. Do I push to increase the harvest, or do we get gradually over next years to get the government to see you can feed your nation without anybody being hungry through the telephone channel? Isn't this what was done for Palestine? Isn't this what you lot come in and take from us in the systems? And this is the problem. Technology is there, but why should I go back and start or put cancer on the water, on the this, or just whack? Man does not need to kill. Let's just feed them through the, what do you call it, the structure. And this is one of our plans to start doing this. The biggest problem for us is multinationals and people who just work on the rhythm of the money. When I was talking to CIA people very recently, they said, Mr. Keshe, the biggest problem is you have touched energy. And the people don't like because you're taking a lot of money from them. This is where your enemies are sitting. You've shown you can produce gases, and you going into delivery of the gas and the generator electricity. This is where your problem is. Now, if that's the problem, energy and the gas has to be used by somebody who's alive. Dead people don't heat themselves up. So who's alive needs feeding. And who you feed kills for it. Why don't we change the structure that we feed our people through new technology, understanding everything they need, they take from it. You can't have overdose of vitamin D when you're with the plasma, because the body doesn't take what it doesn't need. So do we go in the path of increasing harvest, increasing more animals, much healthier, and then we kill them, we eat them? Or do we go on the universal way of providing the energy, the way you're taking the other 80%, let us give you the other 20% and stop this mayhem. Then man becomes a passenger of universe. Then you don't need another guy on the moon. This is the dilemma which sits. Would I increase the harvest? I was talking to Madame knowledge seekers this morning. The same way, can we? I don't see a need for increasing harvest. Because technology is there, we can feed the nations without killing a single thing. Why do we do it? I can produce every amino acid in the body of the man. Why do I need to do all the elaborated things to do it? The knowledge is getting there that we can produce every hormone in the body of the man. As I tell you, you knowledge seekers only see maybe not even 2 or 3% of what is developed is developing and is there. I am scared to show what is the capability and the machines are there to do. We need one nation structure. And this is why I put request to many knowledge seekers. We need funds, urgently need funds to be able to operate and keep this going. I asked for a donation last week from knowledge seekers and you all pay the deaf ear to it. Keshe funds the way it does it. You'll pay for it when I don't do. I made direct appeal to many knowledge seekers. We need support. Keshe Foundation cannot carry this burden anymore. It's for you, it's for the change to come in the future. Why do I have to create food, to feed an animal, to kill the animal, to eat at the end? Why don't I that energy which I put for the food to give into the animal directly to the man without killing? This is a gap in what is available and what we can do, and multinationals and things won't let it happen. We got to make it happen. We got to put in it what we have. I have put everything, my time, my life, everything asset I had to bring it to the point it is today. But now on, it has to be us who's going to do it, not the government. We have to make that government one nation policy. And this is where it sits. You want to put calcium on whatever, we already know how to do it. We have shown it to the Chinese military last year when we were in China. I can produce any element. But what is it going to serve? What is it going to bring for us? What's going to be the essence of it in changing the position and the condition? Why do we have to still show in agriculture when we have it? At the end of the agriculture is what you eat. Why can't I give you the energy without you eating and killing? I give you the way I look at it. You know that I said earlier on about the guy who makes the gun and the guy who makes the bullet and the guy who makes the material in it, the powder and the rest of it. They're all responsible. I'm responsible the way I see myself. Why should I give more, to produce more, to kill more, where you can? And there's no other way left but to go into one nation policy. People who follow our work, you want food, we provided you the app, you get it. This is the dilemma and the problem I've been sitting with for past times. In why should I become part of the tool of killing? That cow you eat, that rice you chew, we have the knowledge, why can't we buy? But why should some people have some few imaginary bits in the accounts to show who they are, and they get shot and blown up with a bullet with 9 billion in their pocket. This is the problem. This is the serious problem which we have, which I face with, and I try to find a way to what do you call it? To find a midway, at least interim way, to be able to justify my work. But the governments won't allow it to happen. Because there are people who make money. And they bet in how they make money. I contacted one of the richest people in one of the most advanced nations in the world, in the very recent past. And I asked, would you be, they're knowledge seekers, they're not outsiders, they're close to the foundation. Would you help to set up a structure that we can provide energy freely in a very cheap way to all the ones who need? And the answer I got was absolutely ridiculous. What do you take back with you? As always said, even to my children, the day I die, what is on my back is what I own. I haven't gathered properties and investments and sitting around and doing things. Because everything goes to the foundation. You see, when you look at this, see what you see. The elements: iron, zinc, silica, chlor, nickel. And you see the stamp from the Chinese military laboratories. These materials are created in the open space. Do I need to mine? And do I need to kill for it? So, can we produce calcium and blah, blah? Yes, as easy as this. But can we change the course of humanity with it? Is a different question. And this is why we need one nation policy. That we make it available for anyone, anywhere. It's freely there. We have shown this. We have done this in Keshe Foundation again and again and again. We run a tight ship, but when it's needed, we open the doors to be benefited. Within in Italy, if you remember, a few years ago when there was an earthquake, we opened the Keshe Foundation factories, whatever we had, to be the property of the nation, to help the nation. Then the knowledge seekers went everywhere trying to help the earthquake disasters. It's why, with the knowledge we have to do this. Why do I have to increase agriculture, clean up the pollution, which other industries keep on putting back in, that when you create the conditions, these are not there, but the knowledge is there. Who is stopping us? Multinationals. Because they want to have more figures, they're more richer, and we have more Bill Gates and the rest. It doesn't add up for me, and this is the dilemma I have at the moment. Any other question?
Thank you. From Jefferson in the Q&A. Hello and good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Jefferson Rodriguez from Brazil. It is always an honor being present and talking to you. In your amazing book, number 1, The Universal Order of Creation of Matter, if I may, in a chapter referring about interactions of PM ticks, you have stated, quote, magnetic fields in essence are created out of the potential difference in position from their source. The Keshe principle of that was the end of that quote. This Keshe principle of creation of magnetic fields and magnetic field strength are explained in full in the paper entitled The Creation of Magnetic Fields. Could you please elaborate more about this paper or where we can buy it? Thanks always. And Jefferson.
The creation of magnetic fields is book number 8. And it's in there to be published.
Is there an ETA on that by any chance, or do we have to wait for world peace first?
Part of it is written. Part of it is written. Part of it is written. Since we left Belgium, I stopped writing books. And the book about the soul and its pieces, that time when we started teaching about the soul some years ago, Sandor was collecting all the teachings and putting it as part of it. And it's in our possession, we have that. But in essence, in some of the teaching, in part of the teaching, I referred to this. But the origin of the magnetic field brings you back to the creator. And the process of creation. And I wrote the books according to what man could understand, could relate to, and to be benefited by. And at that time, and even now, I don't think mankind is ready to understand this knowledge. I'll become that guy on the stick. But when you speak about the origin of the magnetic field, you have to understand the process of the creation and the creator. And as we come from there, we know it. But man is not ready to understand it. And as simple as that. And in the books, I always said the basis for the future teaching, future understanding, you got to realize these books were written nearly 15, 16 years ago, 2009, 2010. And I always said, I write, I finish the books, publish the books when I return back to Belgium. And there is a reason for it. We don't stand in the imitation of the man's kings. As the king who made the man is with us. And then you understand. And yet,
I was wondering if you could make a comment on the Bangladesh situation. Moshfek has been talking about that because he is from Bangladesh. And it seems that the poor people, or at least the common people, have basically taken control of the country and are bringing in a different government. They've kicked out the previous government, and from this sort of a grassroots organization, they're now cleaning the students primarily are responsible for this revolution or evolution or whatever you like to call it. But it all happened within about 2 weeks, this incredible transformation, or maybe transmutation. Yeah, what can you say about that?
There's not much to say. You have to understand the culture of Bangladesh, where it came from, how it came about, and the way it's structured. The biggest problem of Bangladesh is not its people, it's its geography. And as long as the cycle of life on an annual basis guarantees on a regular basis destruction, no madness, you have the people who will do this. Create continuous poverty, continuous evolution in this part of the world. And when the Indians created Bangladesh, this was a part which nobody wanted, and that was the time we put the Muslims in. You have bit parts which that's what we call normality. And when you have this position, you always have abuse. And changing the power, the people who come into power, they put in power in 5 years, 10 years time, they revolt against them again. Because this nation has no resources as such to support such a large population. This is a cronyism of the British when they brought this thing in, when they split India into two parts of the, if you remember, going back into 70s, and that time, there was an East Pakistan and the West Pakistan, and the East Pakistan changed name to Bangladesh. Because even the West Pakistan, with the wealth and the whatever they had, or inland, what do you call it, the structure, could not support the others on the other side with India in between. And this needs restructuring. This needs one nation policy, that the Bangladeshi and the Indians and the Pakistanis all go back to the structure and have the access to natural resources. Or, as a structure of Keshe Foundation, we create natural resources that, if the people's intellectual mentality is there, to develop the country in a different way. Biggest problem of Bangladesh, you will see this, we had this, go back on the history of Bangladesh in past 50, 60 years, you'll get this. Every 20 years, whatever, you get people who get corrupt, and they are corrupt, and they bring in, the students do things, the others do things, and we go back onto it, and we see it. Bangladesh needs a resource-based industry where they have natural resources, where they can support the, what do you call it, the population. And poverty brings corruption. They change it now in 10 years, 20 years, with how many times we had, didn't they get separation from Pakistan, and they thought they can do it better themselves with one president in two places, thousands of kilometers apart. Go back on the history. They should have stayed as part of the bigger Pakistan, where natural resources are on the other side, they could support it. It's, you have a low land area in Indian Ocean, or whatever you call it, in the seafront, and this gets hammered every year with cyclones. People have no security guarantee, and these people always go back, and this reflects in all the way up in the structure. They didn't give the best part of India to the Bangladeshis. They gave the worst, what they knew will bring instability or instability. And this is part of the inherited physical structure, geographical structure of this land. Years ago, I don't know if you can go back to 1990s, one of these cyclones and floods hit Bangladesh. In those days we had businesses, big businesses, which we used to bring clothing from Bangladesh into England, into our warehouses. And there was a cyclone, and there was a huge losses and everything else. The shipping company managed to ship our goods after quite some time to Manchester. And we never seen this. The container arrived about 4 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I could hear shouts and panics about stuff from downstairs. We ran down, and they opened this container, and I've never in my life have seen so many different color, shape, size of cockroaches. And we were wondering how the heck. We had to call the, what do you call it, we have a special structure in Britain that time, that they come for infestation. We had to inform the government we've been infested. It was very serious. And we started collecting these in jars, some of them 6, 7 inches long, some of them 2, 3 inches long, different colors. And after investigation, because we had to respond to the government, they couldn't stop anything else which came from Bangladesh that time, other places of England. We don't want these animals in the country. It came that the containers due the flood were kept on the port of where the ship is, and the water seeped in, and with the heat and the temperature, in the boxes, cardboard boxes, were infestation of cockroaches, and they just grew in it. And then we start looking in the structure of the, how we stop trading with Bangladesh because this was too frequent. And this brought, that time we looked at why and how we could, the price was good, but the problems were big. And then when we looked at the structure of the nation, the country is too low level, it's the floodlines of India made into a nation. And then this keeps poverty, they don't have natural resources, they have labor force, cheap labor force. And this will happen, this inevitably will happen. The students are getting educated, but there is no work for them because there is no, unless you're free labor, you do everything we've seen with computers and they become programmers and they travel to America and become the rest. There's not much you can do, but it's there. This is inevitable. We'll see it on regular basis. Every 15, 20 years, 15 years, they go at it because the guy gets in there, is too comfortable, get money, mainly by support from, what do you call it, relief funds and the rest, and they put it in their pockets, and then they become too cozy, and then the students go on the street and they do the rest again in 15 years. It's, the problem is that these people don't have roots. Bangladeshi people, many of them don't have roots. It's the same with the Pakistani people, don't have roots. Because in 1940s, when they established Pakistan, which Pak means clean, Stan means the place, state. Which means it was clean of Hindus and Buddhists or whatever they had at that time. So they cleaned up, and the two parts called East Pakistan, West Pakistan, it means it's clean up any Hindus and the rest is clean, it's just for Muslims. That's what it is, that's how it was a British divide and rule policy. And these people lost their culture, they lost where they came in India and the other part of India where they were originally from. And they haven't rooted in this land, they don't understand the geography and topology of the land, how to live and how to do, and the government doesn't do, it's just millions and millions of them into one place. If we bring the policy of what I call app policy, that you pay, you feed people on the basis of the mobile phones, as we should do, and then yes, it can bring the changes, permanent changes, because people don't rely. People do anything to have one food a day, to suffer the physical body to be alive on this planet. And this is one thing I never understood. Be the poorest man on the street, the richest man in the palaces. And Bangladesh is a epitome of British ruling. We see the same ruling again. If you are wise, if you understand, if you go back to the history of the Palestine and Israel, you see change the Bangladesh to West Bank and change Pakistan to the Gaza Strip on the other side. It's the same British policy. British established Israel because nobody accepted the Jews. Europeans didn't want nothing to do with the Jews at Second World War. British negotiated with the Palestinians to bring them in, and now they're in. You see that the problem. They just change, turn it around. One side is Bangladesh, one side is Pakistan, one side is Israel, and then you have West Bank and you have the Gaza Strip and the rest of it. This is policy, British way of doing things. Because in the future, when they grow, they still sell. they still operate. And Bangladesh has left no proper resources except cheap labor that people are it, and they live on, most of them, on the poverty line. Because the cyclones hit them on one side, and this is a big part of people that get hit on a frequent basis, and then you have inside no resources. You have a poor nation struggling inside. And they have no roots. All of them, most of them, is the route to go back to India. If you met many Bangladeshis, I had a pleasure or the position to be in touch with these people during my student time in London. Because if you came to London conference, where you walk down, it's the place where most of the Bangladeshis came when they came from that part of the world. This was the area, and it was, we were a lot in touch with them as part of the students we crossed, we see, and they had food cheap, cheap foods for students. We came to know a lot. Any other question? I wish you all the best, but this will repeat itself again, because government, the structure of financial structure for a nation to be self-sufficient, resources and others is not there, and the population is too big, and topography is totally out of line.
Okay, thank you. Multimedia Medazine in YouTube has another comment. Says, "Dear Mr. Keshe, as an upcoming religious leader, entrepreneur, and having private merchant banking capabilities, focusing on funding the Keshe Foundation, can I contact you directly by way of email or letter?"
What?
They want to contact you regarding funding or some sort of.
You go on the Keshe, you go, the usual way is info@keshe.foundation, and then they put you through.
Right, I'll just put that in the chat.
I think it's info@keshe.foundation. Or if you go onto the Keshe Foundation website, there's a link to contact somewhere. Somebody wanted to contact us recently, found a cheeky way to do it. He went and he purchased a very small, cheap item, and where they had to put the reference, I don't need the goods, I just want to contact Mr. Keshe. That's another way, then the sales get in touch with us.
Okay. The back channel.
Back channel. But go on the Keshe Foundation, I think it's info@keshe.foundation. And there was one, I think it was, the secure one was the Spaceship Institute. I don't think we use that much.
Okay, we have a comment from anonymous attendee. It turned out to be Ali, and from the one from Iran. Says, Mr. Keshe, for your information, I asked the above question about creating potassium and calcium plasma fields in the fastest way only for using in the oil industry, not for any other purpose. Does the Keshe Foundation in Iran cooperate in this matter?
Yes, if you can pay them to build the systems, we send the material through. But I don't think you'll have much oil industry in the next few hours if the things go the way they are going. But get in touch with Yusuf, and then we can organize something through Yusuf.
Okay, good. Question from Renate in the Q&A. It's in German. I've translated it to if I feed myself with plasma fields, how can I stop the oral gratification? He says, they say, I mean, the desire for oral gratification by eating.
That's it, the biggest problem, isn't it?
That's it in
That
a
the catch
nutshell,
22.
so to speak.
I met a guy years ago. If you were Chinese, you know who I'm talking about. He used to do most of the translation of teachings originally, years ago. He started using GANs water, not Ganses, but GANs waters. And he said about 7 months. A lot of people in Shenzhen used to do this at that time. And he stopped eating food. And I said to him, I see you eating. He said, I eat out of the shame I'm sitting in front of you. That I don't eat, it'll be not polite. I said, you should have forget about the politeness. This is what brings us to, why do we eat? Why do we need to eat? And do we eat if once we have this, do we eat because we have to? And why do we do things like this? This has been brought to me in very different ways. When we used to live in China, you don't see this anywhere in the world. This is a typical behavior in China. You go to restaurants, and the restaurant inside, for example, has got 50 seats. But there are 100 seats outside, little, stools, and they put drinks, water, snacks for people sit to queue up to go in and eat. And then they give you a number and they call. 70-80% of the restaurants in shopping centers, in city centers, have this process. It's not something to a few. It's a very large number. You have a seated restaurant and you put chairs outside, people sit in the queue to go and eat. And many times I thought, what about if I put a system here and feed these people without knowing outside, they go and there'll be nobody sitting on the chairs. Would they ever know why they left? And would the shopkeeper ever find out, how come I have no customers? Our knowledge seekers from China can send you these pictures. It's very normal in what do you call it, shopping centers, big centers, or anywhere there are restaurants. You see this even on the street. They put chair outside for people to wait. There are more people waiting outside than people inside, and they wait for hours to be fed. And I always said, it would be nice to just put a couple of systems on this either side, without them, just 2 suitcases, and release the field and see how these people walk away. Are they still hungry? And when they go home, would they eat anything? And do we need to eat? This is, and then we need, once we don't need to, we need to worry about eating. It's going to happen to us when we go to space. There are no cows, there are no beefs, there are no chickens, there are no carrots. We feed you with these things. You lose your mouth, it'll close. Your stomach digestion will not exist. And partially because you lose your stomach, And secondly, we cannot give you air all the time to breathe because we provide you energy, which is you inhaling it, that you receive it directly into the system. Would you have the mouth even to speak? And how fast you go through this evolution. And this is the reason why I said transmutation is better than transfer. This is one of the main principles that I brought the transmutation so forward. My plan was to teach transmutation in 10, 15 years time. There is enough knowledge to be taught in the next 10 years, 15 years to come to transmutation. But if we're going to bring, we saw necessity to bring the technology and education forward, was to bring the transmutation in. Do you remember when I started teaching about the souls? Because we were planning to bring it in time. Oh, he wants to control your soul and he's this and that. They never understood. Now you see the headphones, you see how you interact, and now you see how much garbage they talked about. Creating fear. And this is what the next step is. For man to be a long passengers of universe, physical body of the man is a burden on his existence. You have to transmute and take the shape and a condition of satisfaction of the soul of physicality, and manifest yourself in a place dimension of the existence as it is. There are no cows on the Mars. You want to go and live in the Mars. Unless you take cows, how many cows can you take? You wait for the next shipment. You're living in Africa. You go to a shop today, there is cucumbers. The next 3 weeks, there's nothing because there's no shipment. And when the cucumber comes, they buy all of it because it might not be for another 3 weeks. There is no need. Let me explain to you in a very different way. 100 kilometers, 50 kilometers above Earth, there is no government because the Earth rotates and you're up there. You belong to no nation. You are from Earth, but without what you call nationality, because there's no nation. You are national citizen of a nation when you got your foot on it and you're in it. Earth rotates, you have no nationality. You have no banking. You have no food store. And if you become a passenger of space, you have no need for shopping. Maybe you can buy Yves Saint Laurent suits or Nike shoes if you still use the physical body, if it fits, because you have no fat, you're just pencil size. Then, what's the next step? If we can live in a space without killing, without abusing, why can't we do it on Earth? This is one of the questions which I brought it up even with the Chinese authorities a few years ago. If we are planning to go to space and we are producing materials and energies for food and everything else, we can live there. Why can't we live here the same? What's the disease with the man on this planet? Then do we need the mouth? Do we need the digestion system? They tell us you bleed internally if you don't eat. Knowledge seekers tells us other way. Hundreds of them, tens of them went through this process. None of them bleeded. They lost 20% of their weight and then stabilized. All the fat gone. You want to lose weight? Perfect. Use the GANS way. You never feel hungry, you get all the vitamins, minerals, everything you need to it. And no more drinking gas, but energy of the magnetic field of the elements. And this is the beauty with this new understanding, this new technology. And as I said, I read you last time, when we found nuclear atomic, it became the curse of killing, destroying, annihilation of man. Going inside the plasma, we have found energy of peace, where with nuclear we found the energy of destruction. And if we understand this, it's not just peace as a peace no God, it's peace within the man. Peace of man for himself. You can feed yourself through it. You can even clothe yourself through it once I teach you how to do it. You can create the most fashionable items ever without mining, without destroying the planet, without killing other people. So, do we need to eat? Do we need the map? Because we don't need it 20 floor up, another, God knows, 10, 20 kilometers above. We freeze to death. Unless you create a false environment like the space now, all your food are frozen food as it comes. Shall we call it a day?
Yep, you've gone into double, triple overtime here, so thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Very much. And hopefully we see each other next time. Be prepared for an exciting trip next Friday. And again, come equipped with 2 pair of headphones. And if you have the communication bundles and you have the eye system, and let us know, we connect you differently to the system, that you don't need headphones and you take a trip of your life. You have to have both the headphone and the eyeglasses to be able to experience this trip. And we create a totally different environment for you. And please don't forget, we have set our path to create the one nation structure. And Keshe Foundation is in need of a lot of support to be able to bring this to become part of, as the governments and what we call multinationals don't want this to happen, as they can abuse everything they want to do, and everything needs a step to start with. I put all my resources, even we lost millions in past few years. Whatever we had again, we put back in, and we are restructuring it, and we need support to be able to do it. It's not one man's dream. It's the reality that the man has to face if he wants to have a dream of peace. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you so much for another Knowledge Seekers workshop here. This has been the 550th one of the Knowledge Seekers workshops here on Thursday, August 8th, 2024. Thank you, everybody.
Did you notice something you noticed? Last week was 549, which is 9, and this week is 1. So we started a new cycle of life and technology and knowledge. 5 and 5 is 10, and 10 is 1. 5, 4, 9 is 9, is the end of one and the beginning of a new cycle. Let's see what we achieve. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we have coming up next week on Monday, the 12th of August, we have the public meeting for testimonials. And let me just check, it'll be the 93rd public meeting for testimonials. And that starts at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. Again, that's on the 12th. And then on the 13th, we have the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for Justice and World Peace with members of the Universal Council. And that's on Tuesday, starting at the 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time slot. Very good. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And we'll go out with our usual Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. And we'll see you all in the next public teaching workshop. Bye for now.